The house that never stood still. The wind howled across the Carolina marshlands that morning, rattling the old boards of the house that everyone in the town of Beaufort swore was cursed. It stood on a rise of red clay and willow roots, its chimneys leaning like drunk sentinels. Locals called it the Hollow House, because no matter how still the air was, a hollow moan always seemed to rise from its halls. No one had entered it in nearly a century, until Dr. Samuel Whitaker did. Samuel was a historian from Boston, a man who believed in records, not ghosts. His research was on the forgotten colonies of the 17th century, the small settlements that vanished or got absorbed into history's larger stories. He had come here chasing a name that appeared in a footnote, Elias Green, an enslaved mason who, according to one obscure ledger, built a house for his freedom. The sentence had haunted Samuel for years. A house for freedom. What did that mean? When he finally found the hollow house, its front door hanging half open, the air inside was thick with time. The floorboards groaned under his boots, cobwebs hung like lace curtains, and in the main hall, etched faintly into the stone fireplace, were 5 words that changed everything. Freedom is never given. The carving was old, older than the Revolution itself, and beneath it, faint initials, E.G. Samuel took a step back, flashlight trembling. Elias Green had built this. The man existed. And maybe, just maybe, he had left a story behind. The first stone, 1662. Elias Green had not been born with that name. He was born on a ship called the Mercy of God, a name so cruelly ironic that every man chained below deck spat when they heard it. He was 12 years old, stolen from the banks of the Gambia River, sold to an English trader, and packed among 200 souls into the dark hold of the ship. It was 1662, the year the English crown expanded its trade with Africa, and human cargo became the wealth of nations. Elias learned English from listening. He learned silence from surviving. And when the Mercy of God reached the shore of Charlestown, Carolina, he learned something else, how to build. His owner, Richard Harrow, was a man of ambition and paranoia, one of the early settlers who saw America not as a home, but as a mine. He planned to raise a grand estate on the marsh, and Elias, with his strong hands and quiet intelligence, became the overseer of the construction. Harrow called him Green because your eyes look like moss after rain. But Elias had another name, Olawale, and a vow that he whispered every night, "If I must build this world, I will build one that will outlive them." The years turned, and the marshland began to rise in walls of brick and timber. Elias learned how to mix mortar that could withstand the salt wind, how to carve stone that didn't crack under the Carolina sun. The house rose slowly, massive, symmetrical, and cold. Harrow called it Harrowfield, but to the workers, it was the House of Chains. Yet something strange happened as Elias worked. He began to embed messages into the stones, tiny carvings, hidden runes from his ancestral language, Adinkra symbols from the Akan people. Each carried a meaning, strength, hope, resistance. No one noticed, not the overseer, not Harrow. But Elias was building more than a house. He was building a code. The Bargain of Blood, 1671. By the time Harrowfield stood complete, Elias was in his 20s, tall and broad-shouldered, with eyes that could stop a man mid-sentence. He was trusted now, enough that Harrow once said, "You're the best I've got. If I could buy your soul, I'd pay for it in gold." That night, Elias made his move. He went to Harrow's study and offered a deal. "If I build you one more house, one greater than this, will you give me my freedom?" Harrow laughed. "A house grander than Harrowfield? That's a king's ransom." Elias met his gaze. "Then I will build a king's house." The deal was struck, in ink and sealed with wax. Freedom for one final construction. And so began the legend of the House of Freedom. The new house was built not for Harrow, but for Harrow's son, Thomas, an ambitious merchant tied to the early slave trade. It was meant to stand as a symbol of wealth, but Elias, quietly, was building a tomb. Hidden inside the foundation were messages, compartments, and escape tunnels. Every stone was marked with the symbol of Nsoroma, which meant the child of the heavens. Elias said it was decoration. In truth, it was a prayer that one day others would walk free under the same stars. When the house was finished in 1674, Harrow fell ill. Fever took him within a month. Thomas inherited everything and never honored the bargain. Elias remained enslaved. But before he died, Elias returned to the House of Freedom one last time. He went to the fireplace and carved the words that Dr. Whitaker would one day find. "Freedom is never given." Then he disappeared into the marshlands. Some said he drowned. Others said he ran north, joining the early maroon settlements in the Great Dismal Swamp. But the truth was simpler and stranger. Elias had left behind the blueprint for rebellion. Echoes in the Ashes, 1775. A century later, as the colonies burned with revolution, the House of Freedom stood abandoned, half sunk into the mud. The British troops used it as a supply post. The Patriots burned it to drive them out. Among the ashes, a soldier named Nathaniel Ward found a stone tablet inscribed with symbols he didn't understand. He took it with him to Philadelphia, where it sat for years among his papers, until one day a young printer named Benjamin Franklin saw it and said, "There's a code in this." That code, drawn from an African Mason's symbols, became one of the hidden influences in early American iconography, from Masonic emblems to architectural motifs in Independence Hall. The origins, of course, were never credited. Elias Green's mark was everywhere and nowhere. Back to the present, 2024. Dr. Whitaker stood in the ruins of that same house, feeling a chill crawl up his spine. He ran his fingers over the carving again. Freedom is never given. He didn't yet know that beneath his feet lay a sealed chamber, a vault filled with stone etchings, coded maps, and a diary written in early Creole and Arabic, the first true record of an enslaved builder's thoughts in colonial America. He didn't know that what he was about to uncover would challenge the very foundation of the nation's history. But the house did. It always had. The hollow moan rose again from the walls, as if something ancient was waking. And the story, America's true, buried story, was ready to be told.
The diary beneath the stone. The storm came in before dawn. Rain swept across the Carolina coast in thick gray sheets, drumming against the rotted shutters of the hollow house. Inside, Dr. Samuel Whitaker huddled under the glow of his lantern, staring at the faint carving on the hearth. He had spent the whole night sketching the words into his notebook, tracing the curves of every letter. "Freedom is never given." He whispered it like a prayer or maybe a challenge. When lightning flashed, the house trembled. A corner of the hearth cracked open, and Samuel heard a sound that made his pulse quicken. A hollow thud, like stone shifting beneath stone. He knelt and brushed away dust. There, hidden behind the baseboard, was a slab slightly out of line with the rest. He pressed. The floor gave way. A square panel slid aside, revealing a dark shaft beneath the room. The vault. Samuel lowered his lantern into the space and saw stairs spiraling downward. The air that rose from below was cool, heavy with the scent of clay and something older, like parchment and rust. He descended slowly. At the bottom was a narrow chamber, just high enough to stand. Along the walls, bricks were engraved with strange marks, spirals, stars, and interlocking triangles. In the center sat a small stone chest sealed with pitch. His hands trembled as he pried it open. Inside were three things: a bound manuscript wrapped in oilskin, a carved compass with foreign markings, and a shard of glass etched with a name, E. Green. The manuscript was brittle, written in a mix of Arabic script and broken English. The first line was almost illegible, but the date was clear. Anno Domini 1675, for those who come after me, when truth be weighed again. Samuel's breath caught. This wasn't a legend. This was a testimony. He had found the diary of Elias Green. The voice of Elias Green. Diary excerpts. They say the new world is freedom. For whom? The wind here carries the cry of the old world, only in another tongue. I build their walls and they call me blessed, yet I live in the cellar like the mortar that binds them. If a man may shape stone, may he not also shape his own fate? I have seen the patterns of the English, their masons, their sigils. They think it is theirs alone, but I have older signs. I carve mine where they cannot see, so that when their houses fall, my marks shall remain. Freedom is never given. It must be taken from the earth like clay, pressed with blood, and fired in the furnace of time. Samuel read in silence, every word echoing off the stone. The entries continued for several pages, some describing construction, others meditations on survival. Then, near the end, a passage stopped him cold. I have met a man who says the world is turning. He is not English, nor African, but of the tribes beyond the mountains. They call him Awanita. He says his people too are being pushed from their land. He showed me a sign drawn in the dust, two paths crossing, one of blood, one of fire. He says one day the sons of both our peoples will meet again, not as slaves, but as storm. Samuel frowned. Awanita? That was a Cherokee name. This was centuries before recorded contact between enslaved Africans and Cherokee peoples. If this diary was authentic, it was rewriting the earliest history of American resistance, showing alliances long before anyone documented them. The scholar's dilemma. The next day, Samuel brought the manuscript to his motel room. He scanned every page, cross-referenced symbols with Masonic and Adinkra iconography, and wrote feverishly in his field notes. He couldn't shake the feeling that Elias had foreseen something far larger, a connection between the oppression of the enslaved and the displacement of native nations, two streams of suffering, destined to merge. As he worked, his phone buzzed. A call from Boston University, his department chair, Dr. Helen Tran. "Samuel, where are you? You've missed 3 classes." "I found something, Helen," he said, voice unsteady. "A diary from the 17th century. It's real. It's..." "Samuel, you've been chasing ghosts for years. Don't tell me you think this proves that hidden foundation theory again." "It's not a theory anymore. Elias Green, he built the first coded architecture in America. I think his symbols spread through early Freemasonry, maybe even into the Revolution itself." Helen sighed. "If you want funding, bring proof. Otherwise, it's just another story." Echoes of the builders. Samuel didn't sleep that night. He kept translating. Elias wrote of men who passed his symbols northward, hidden among masons, sailors, and artisans who traveled between colonies. They used the marks as signs of trust, smuggling news, and sometimes people. It was a network, the earliest form of what would later become the Underground Railroad. We build as they sleep. Every house we raise hides a hollow place, a space for one who must flee. In the walls we leave our marks so that another may know here lies refuge. Samuel's eyes widened. These weren't metaphors. Elias and others like him had embedded safe chambers within colonial structures, secret routes, predating the known underground by more than a century. And there, drawn faintly on the final page, was a map. Coastlines, rivers, and a symbol marking a line that ran from Carolina northward to Virginia, then west toward the Appalachians. At the end of that line, a single word: Sanctum. The hidden lineage. 1777, Virginia. A young soldier named Josiah Ward, descendant of Nathaniel Ward, who once found Elias's tablet, sat by a campfire with a small wooden compass around his neck. It had been passed down through generations, said to have belonged to the Black Mason who built the impossible house. Josiah was no believer in tales until the night he met a man known only as Isaac, a free black carpenter who worked on continental fortifications. Isaac traced a symbol into the dirt, the same star and triangle mark etched on Josiah's compass. "Where did you learn that?" Josiah asked. Isaac smiled. "From my father. He said it came from a builder named Elias Green." They stared at each other, the past bridging their silence. From that meeting grew a small brotherhood among the builders of Washington's army, black, white, and native workers who called themselves the Silent Line. They passed coded messages through carvings and layout marks in the new fort walls. To most soldiers, it was superstition. To them, it was survival. Their hidden creed was simple: no wall shall stand unless all men within it stand free. Back to the present, unearthing Sanctum. Weeks passed. Samuel traced the map in Elias's diary and matched the terrain to modern satellite data. The coordinates pointed to the foothills near Roanoke, Virginia, an area rich in pre-revolutionary ruins. He gathered a small team: Dr. Luis Ortega, archaeologist specializing in colonial settlements; Maya Chen, linguist and symbologist; and Naomi Green, a cultural historian, and by coincidence, a distant descendant of enslaved builders from South Carolina. When Samuel showed her the diary, Naomi froze. "You said his name was Elias Green?" "Yes." "Do you know it?" She nodded slowly. "My grandmother used to tell stories about an ancestor who built a house and vanished. Said his spirit still guided the builders in our family. We thought it was just folklore." Samuel's voice shook. It wasn't. The Sanctum Expedition. They arrived at the site in early October. Dense forest, damp with morning fog. The GPS signal flickered. Using Elias's compass as their guide, they followed a trail of half-buried stones until Maya spotted a rectangular outline in the earth. "Here," she said, "foundation wall." They dug. Within hours, they uncovered the base of an ancient structure, not a house, but a stone vault, built in the same masonry style as the Hollow House. Embedded in its entrance were faint carvings, the Ensoroma symbol, the Star of Heaven. Inside the vault, the air was still and dry. Rows of brick shelves lined the walls, filled with scrolls, pottery fragments, and a single copper plate engraved with hundreds of interlocking names.
Look at these carvings here.
Ran her
They
fingers
match the ones we found yesterday.
These are African,
Make sure to update the map
English,
coordinates.
and native names mixed together. Naomi read aloud from the top of the plate. "For those who built and were never seen." Then, at the bottom, one more inscription in shaky but legible English. "When the children of the builders find this place, remember the house still stands, though no eye can see it. We built it not of stone, but of memory. E. Green." The vault fell silent. The truth beneath the nation. Samuel knew what this meant. The very foundations of America, its architecture, its symbols of liberty, were not solely the work of colonists and visionaries. They were shaped, literally, by the enslaved and the displaced, by those whose names were erased. And through Elias's code, a hidden network of unity had existed long before the revolution, an early experiment in freedom, built in the shadows. This was the origins of our discontent. The conflict that still divided the nation was not new. It was born from the same contradiction Elias had seen in 1675, a land that spoke of liberty while living on chains. The last passage of the diary. Before sealing the manuscript again, Samuel turned to the final page. It was barely legible, but he could make out the words, "If ever this book is found, tell them, freedom is not born of nations, but of the hands that built them. Let them not worship the house while forgetting the builders." As Samuel read, thunder rolled again across the Carolina sky, the same wind that had carried Elias's whisper 3 centuries before. Epilogue of Part 2, The Awakening. In the months that followed, Samuel and his team published their findings. The academic world erupted.
Look at the findings.
Half called it revolutionary. The other half called it heresy.
Paradigm shift in
Museums
academia.
demanded
We
proof.
did it.
Politicians demanded silence. But something unexpected happened. In cities across America, builders, artists, and historians began to trace the same symbols Elias had carved, hidden in old courthouses, churches, and even the stones of Independence Hall. The same triangles, stars, and Ensoroma patterns. The marks had been there all along. We just hadn't known how to see them. And as the nation once again wrestled with questions of identity, race, and belonging, Samuel's words echoed across lectures and headlines. The story of America was not built by one people. It was built by all, even those it tried to forget.